Hello, hello, everyone. This is Periklis coming to you live from Luxembourg here at Flechazo Live with Jason and Tulio. These guys are incredibly great. We had our first interview together, and from what I've seen so far, the material they will be able to produce will be outstanding. Great interviewers, great people with a lot of background in what they do. Definitely worth taking a watch. So I invite you to watch the first episode, and from that on, stick to the next that will come.
Welcome, everyone, to Flechazo Live. My name is Jason, and this is our co-host, Tulio. We thank everyone for tuning in. Today, we have someone interesting, Periklis Iconomidis from Greece. He's a TED Talks influencer, world-class flirt, and very interesting guy.
It's amazing for you to be here with us, Periklis. Thank you so much for taking the time to just share your knowledge with the world.
Thank you very much, Tulio and Jason. It's a pleasure and honor to actually be one of the first speakers on your channel.
Hey,
thank you very much.
It is, first time is the charm, and we must confess that the Flechazo Live at Night, we really came up with the idea after watching your TED Talk. So before we drop right into the questions, can you tell us a little bit about that TED Talk and why, and how has it been in your life just to be able to impact so many people with that?
Sure, we'll go ahead. So it's actually a funny story because when I was 17, I actually watched TED Talks for the first time. And I always dreamed that I wanted to do one, but I never actually believed that I could do. And 4 years after I had completely forgotten about that goal, I actually ended up doing one, and I found my old notes, and it was kind of fascinating to see. So it was my first big goal that came true, and I was very blessed to have the right people to help me achieve it. And the way it kind of came together was I was doing a business talk in England, and the woman at the audience came up to me, and she came up to me and she said, "I really like your talk. Would you like to give a TED Talk? I'm the president of Tedx. Sorry." And immediately I just kind of froze, and I said, "Let me double check with my secretary. I'm kind of busy lately." No, I said, "I'm just kidding. Of course I will." And we kind of came in, and 2 months after, it was the first time on stage.
There you go.
Oh, that's great.
So I love this that you set up the universe to do a TED Talk and you forgot about it, just put it out there and then it happens. That's the kind of magic we're looking for here in Flechazo. So let's drop right into the questions. How about that, dude?
Sure, sounds great. Okay, what's the most interesting thing you've done for a date?
The most interesting thing I've done for a date. So about 3 months ago, I saw this girl on Instagram, and she was very beautiful through a hashtag. So I put hashtag Luxembourg, and I found this girl, and she was very beautiful. And I decided to follow her and started liking her pictures, started watching her stories. And I remember watching attentively her stories to find something that I could relate with in order to initiate conversation and get her to meet with me. And I remember she filmed this Insta story of a movie. And I had no idea which movie it was, but I did hear the words. I ended up Googling the words and trying to find them vigorously. And I did. I don't remember the movie's name, but it was with Jack Nicholson. And I remember I typed the movie name with an exclamation point, and she said, "Yes." And from that point on, we started talking. And on the first day that we met, it was actually her birthday. So I remember buying a birthday cake, a champagne. I gave her a present as well. And she was immediately, I almost proposed to her on the first date. But I'm just kidding. No, but I remember her being so shocked that someone did so much. And later on, we ended up dating for 2 months. But that was the craziest thing I've done for the first date. So for a birthday present, I bought her everything I could. I've also done some other stuff, such as traveling countries, taking a plane, etc. But that really was recent, so it's kind of fresh in my mind.
That's amazing. The research put into that really paid off. That's amazing.
Right.
So let's talk about if somebody, wanted to date someone like you, somebody wanted to take you out in an ideal first date. What's your ideal first date?
For me?
Yeah.
Who? Huh.
That's good. I mean, that's the whole point.
That would be a nice date, actually. So it would have to be a bisexual woman.
Okay.
And my ideal first date would be dinner early, clubbing with a woman, and together going out and just enjoying the dance floor and socializing and eventually getting home with another woman. That would be the ideal first date.
There you
With
go.
all three of
And
them.
it really sets up the tone for the rest of the relationship, if any relationship's available.
That would be the best. Now, how attainable that is, I guess we're going to see.
It is okay to drink here in Flechazo.
Yeah, wonderful. Maybe in a few years.
Okay, next question. What's your advice for sustaining a relationship after the initial dating stage?
Gotcha. Very good question. I think the mistake people often do is after the first initial date, they get very comfortable. So the moment they meet the girl, they put all this effort, and it's the mistake I do a lot. So I put all this effort, all these great things to make the first date work, and then after 2-3 dates, we kind of get comfortable because we kind of got her, and we stop trying as much, we stop putting so much effort, we stop thinking about it as much and putting our minds to work. So what happens is after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, people get very comfortable, and their relationship kind of slowly fades away, and that's the mistake I do. So from personal experience, that's what I do. So the key to sustaining that is doing the complete opposite. So never taking the girl for granted and never really thinking that she's going to be there, because you don't own her, she's not, and she might leave tomorrow. So I would say always putting the extra mile, always thinking about what you can do, how you can make it more fun, how you can make it more outgoing, how the relationship can burn again. But you got to find the right person to do that, because it takes energy, and you can only have so much energy.
That's a great point.
It is. And you actually get comfortable, and then it's about looking somewhere else. I think that mistake that you said that you make
Exactly.
is a mistake that we all make at some point.
Right.
But
Definitely.
that's part of the what do I have to do, to keep that thing going, that extra mile that you mentioned. But how do you keep yourself interesting? Because one thing is to work for the girl, but the other thing is to keep yourself interesting so that she keeps working for you. So what's your secret? How do you keep yourself interesting?
So that's a very good question. And a book taught me this. It's called The Greatest Networker in the World.
Okay,
And
say that again,
yeah.
because I need to get that.
Yeah, we need to note that. What is that?
It's a very small book, actually. It's about 100 pages. You'll read it in 3 hours. Called The Greatest Network in the World, and it's a story of a man who has a business but is very bad at it, and meets a guy called the greatest network in the world. And the greatest network in the world actually teaches him how to be successful, and he does it through people skills and people dynamism, and you see the whole story. And what I learned from that is, in order to be interesting, be interested. So to simplify it as a one sentence, be genuinely interested in people. Be genuinely interested in people. Ask questions. Don't be for example, last night with a party here, I'm at work, and we had a lot of people, a lot of girls, and with all the girls I socialized, none of them knows what I do. None of them knows where I'm from. None of them knows what I like. I don't give them the chance to talk about myself. Their focus is always on them constantly, over and over and over and over and over and over again. So it's just a full of questions, and you leave again out of the environment, they're kind of like shocked, wow. So it's the same idea of constantly being interested in the other person, putting the emphasis on them and not on yourself. Because the more you put on yourself, it doesn't really serve anything except your ego, I guess.
That's a great approach.
It is a great approach. And it reminds me of a book. I don't know if you ever read The Stranger in Strangeland. You know this book?
Yes.
Okay, that's an amazing book. And
Which one?
thing, A Stranger in a Strange Land. And
Never read it.
there's this character called Michael in there, and the girls, when they kiss him, they say that that guy is the only guy that every time that they kiss, he is always thinking of her. And that's like the best kiss they ever get, because he's not thinking about what's going to happen later or what's going to happen with himself. He's just thinking about them. So
Exactly, being in the moment.
really resonates, that thing that you're telling us here, Periklis.
Right.
So we have one last question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Sure. How do you approach someone you find interesting?
On like the street?
Anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. In a bar, in a restaurant.
But let's
Well, it
keep
depends
it.
on the situation.
Let's do keep it real, Periklis. Like if you just see someone that is just amazingly interesting to you, just she's standing there and you're like, okay, I have to do something. How do you approach her? Just like instantly.
Very good question. I'm actually giving another TED Talk in 5 weeks, and I'm using 2 stories. The second story is the exact same situation.
Okay.
And what I'm describing, it's in French though, so I don't know if you guys speak French.
No.
No French? I doubt it.
But
Only,
we
It's a
should.
shame.
only
Maybe I'll-
English and Spanish.
But I can send you the speech actually if you want.
Do
So
please.
in the second story, I'm talking about how I'm in the club and I see this beautiful girl, and not the typical party girl, but this more like reserved, shy girl at the corner of the club, and I see her, and my whole body just paralyzes, and I'm unable to move, and I'm like frozen for like a minute. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the toilet, washing myself, putting some water. I'm like, okay, Periklis, you're gonna go out, you're gonna talk to this woman. You're like, okay, fine. I go out, and she's no longer there, and I start beating myself up for not taking the step. So the key to I found doing that is actually, do you guys know real social dynamics, RSD?
No?
No.
And you have put
No.
2 homeworks now for us.
So it's a dating company, it's a pickup company. There's a guy called RSD Max, and what he teaches people is that you gotta start small, and you gotta start before you enter the pickup scene, and you gotta train your brain to get into the state of constantly talking to people. So what he does is he constantly talks to people throughout his whole day. So he sees people, he stops them and asks them random questions such as where's the way to the train station, what time it is, where's the party tonight, I'm not confused. Just constantly approaches strangers just to get his mouth into a talkative state of mind, talkative state. And when you do this throughout the day, and especially before you hit the club scene, then by the time you see the girl, you're so used to talking to strangers that you're just like, you're not even think about it, you're already there. And that's because it's so like, there's a very nice quote, and it says, picture like a scale, 1 to 10, 10 being super hot, 1 being not very beautiful. It's easier to approach a 9 out of 10 at 2 in the morning than at 6 out of 10 at 8 in the afternoon, at 8 in the evening. It's not about the alcohol. It's about the state that you get in. So I think it's all about state. So constantly being in a good state so that it no longer seems that I have to go approach this beautiful girl, but it's like, oh, sure, hi, where are you from? And it becomes very natural. That's what I have found to work, because I tend to be a big pussy. I used to, at least. So I prefer to go the slow and steady and actually working way instead of just constantly beating myself up and taking this big leap. Sometimes you have to. So sometimes it takes a bit of push. And sometimes you do see that beautiful woman and it's 10 in the morning and you have to go there. But if you do it constantly, eventually it won't be. You just break it down to something simple and you can go ahead and do it.
That's great advice. You got to try that.
No, I gotta try that. But you know what I like about it, especially, is that you are in
What?
control. It's not about, you
Exactly.
have to prep yourself and talk. It's about training, and that's something
Exactly.
that
You're actually training to
everyone-
approach women.
Yes.
So that's amazing. Periklis, we love that you were here in the first of many, we hope, Flechazo Live. And it's so nice of you to share your knowledge, to prep us for the next things that's going to be happening. And of course, we want to thank you for just being here on the screen and online and with us. And we really appreciate your knowledge. And
Thank you very
for
much,
your
man.
time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I'm sure you're going to see major success. Just with what is here already, you're going to go very far.
Oh, thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.